Play track 4, side B.
Track 4, side B. How to make a great movie review. Lesson 1.
Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I'm here today to review the most anticipated heist film of the past decade, Ocean's 8. Now let's get started. Oh, we're not reviewing Ocean's 8, we're reviewing Hotel Artemis. Whoopsie! So Hotel Artemis takes place in a futuristic Los Angeles in the midst of a riot. So basically, just like any other day in Los Angeles, which even the main character, played by Jodie Foster, acknowledges. And in the middle of all this chaos lies the Hotel Artemis, a safe haven for criminals to come, relax, and get treated for any injuries or wounds that they may have gotten during a job. But on this particular day, which seemed like just any other day to the main character, things become calamitous and chaotic as rules are broken, threats are made, and secrets are revealed. Now this film was written and directed by Drew Pearce. He's not a very recognizable name in the industry, and to be quite fair, he does not have a lengthy body of work. His most notable works includes writing the screenplay for Iron Man 3, take that for what you will, and coming up with the story for Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. And this is sort of his first big movie where he's writing and directing. He's directed a few episodes of some shows and directed some shorts, but this is kind of like his directorial debut on the big screen. And after seeing a few trailers for Hotel Artemis, I found the concept rather interesting. I like the style and presentation of the trailer. It got me curious to want to see this film. And so I decided to watch this film over that other film that everybody's just raving about because, you know, it's such a great film. And what, pray tell, did I think about Hotel Artemis? It's one of the best movies I've seen all year. I'm not joking. Where this film excels at is in its sharp, tight script and keen direction. There's a reason why I brought up Drew Pearce's name near the beginning of this review. For a man who hasn't contributed much to the industry, watching this film makes him seem like a savant. A man that's been working in the industry for decades and has been shooting out hit film after hit film. I've not seen a film all year with such a well-balanced, tight script. From the dialogue, to the setups, to the reveals, to even the small, minute details. And this also ties in with the direction. I love the way that he would frame some of these shots, some of the directorial choices that he made, and how he would give focus to small things that will later appear later on in the film. Basically, so in film, when you draw attention to a certain object, like when you point a camera at a certain object, it's a rule that that object then needs to reappear later on in the film. Basically, it's like this. You saw how the camera focused heavily on that samurai sword, visually showcasing its significance. That means that in this very video, that samurai sword needs to find its way back into this video some way, somehow. And that's exactly what goes down in Hotel Artemis. The camera will intentionally showcase an object or thing that seems insignificant at the time, but will later come back to serve the narrative. And it could be something big, or it could be something small, like a piece of a broken coffee cup. Yeah, a piece of a broken coffee cup. Every single element presented in the script had relevance, significance, and pushed the narrative along naturally. That's why I said it's such a well-balanced, tight script. Because there are no loose ends. There are no insignificant details that doesn't service the story. It all has meaning, it all has purpose, and it's all in service to the story. It helps move it from scene to scene. And the excellent writing was one of two contributions that led to the fascinating, enriching, complex, and compelling characters that were presented in Hotel Artemis. I thought these characters were all going to be very one-note and basic, and I think maybe 2 or 3 of them were, but there were actually some complexities to these characters, and they got some interesting development without having them say too much about their lives and where they come from. Some of the best scenes in this film were between Sterling K. Brown's character and Sofia Boutella's character. You get a sense that there's a lot of history between them, even though they don't verbally talk about it constantly, but through their body language, the way they look at each other, the way that they speak to one another, there's a sense of familiarity between them and strong connection. You can tell that these two have been very close without them telling you that they've been very close. And that's solid writing and direction and acting. And that is the second contribution that led to these great characters. The fantastic performances from all the actors and actresses. I was quite shunned that they brought their A games to this relatively simple borderline B action thriller, but they brought it. Sterling K. Brown, to me, he can do no wrong. He is a phenomenal actor. I'm glad that he's getting so much work. I like the depth and complexity he brought to this character, and he made a thief quite sympathetic. Jodie Foster as well could never do wrong in my eyes. She's such a phenomenal, talented actress and a freaking sweetheart. Her character is the most fascinating and has the best character arc in the entire film. Where she starts to where she ends, I thought it flowed naturally. It made so much sense. There's a lot of depth to the character. I loved her performance and I loved her character. But what's even more fascinating, or should I say surprising, at least for me, is how this film was able to take actors and actresses that I have found annoying and terrible and made them good. Like Charlie Day and Jenny Slate, in my opinion, have the two most annoying voices of any actor and actress working in Hollywood today. Whenever I hear these two talk, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard, as both of them have this very high-pitched voice to them, especially Charlie Day. Whenever this guy talks, he seems like a very erratic, overly energetic Morty without the self-doubt and self-pity. He's always like, oh my god, guys, what's going on here? I gotta do all these things. I'm being wacky. I'm being crazy. Oh my god, I gotta get that. Oh, I need to get that coke. I need to get that gun. Oh, don't mess with me, man. I'm gonna fight you. That's Charlie Day in almost every single film that he's in. Overly energetic, overly erratic, and he comes off as a fucking nuisance. But here, his performance is more held back and withdrawn. He actually feels more like a character. It doesn't feel like Charlie Day playing a character, it's the character. Now there are some Charlie Day-isms in his performance, but it's not so over the top that it becomes cartoony. Same thing goes for Jenny Slate. Now, it could be because Jenny Slate doesn't talk that much in this film, but again, her performance was so held back and reserved, it was not so over the top. It kind of reminds me of her performance from Gifted, which I thought was her best performance until I saw this film. Now I think this is her best performance. She was utilized very well. Overall, I found no weak performance in this film. Even someone like Zachary Quinto, who looked like he was trying so hard to give off this great performance, he worked too because his character's supposed to be a tryhard. He's supposed to be trying hard to impress his father and to come off as a menacing tough guy. That's what his character's supposed to be, and he pulled it off flawlessly. And the climax of the film was great on all levels, from the action to the setups, the dialogue, the interactions among the characters. I thought this was an excellently done climax. And the hallway fight scene with Sofia Boutella was freaking awesome to watch, freaking badass. It reminded me so much of the hallway fight scene from Daredevil, though not as epic as the one in Daredevil, but just as intense. And my god, Sofia Boutella, man, not only is she banging, but she is one tough badass. Every time I see her in an action film, I'm more and more impressed. But with all that said, this film is not without its faults. One issue I found with the film deals with its pacing. Some scenes were paced very well, but other scenes they dragged on for far too long, and I'm like, okay, I got the point of the scene, very well done scene, but we can move on from the scene now. And the only other issue I found was its lack of action. Besides Sofia Boutella's awesome hallway fight scene, there aren't any memorable action sequences in the film, if at all any. I think there was like a grand total of maybe 2 action sequences and a few scuffles here and there, like small altercations between characters, but there wasn't really a fight in the scene. It was just maybe an intense scene or an intense scuffle. And there was a scene where Dave Bautista was about to get into some action, and you see him swing an axe a couple of times, and then he gets pinned, and then you never see the action again. Like, I felt a bit let down. I'm like, I want to see this guy take down an entire army. I mean, if we could see Sofia Boutella take down a bunch of guys in the hallway, why can't we see Dave Bautista do the same? What I'm trying to say is give me more action, goddammit! See? I told you it was gonna find his way back to the video. But overall, despite its small flaws, I got a kick out of Hotel Artemis. For a film that didn't get a lot of publicity, it is one of the best films I've seen all year, and it's definitely one hell of a film. If you haven't seen it yourself, go check it out. It gives you everything that you want to see, minus some awesome action sequences. You get one, but that's nearing the end. But other than that, great performances, great direction, great script, great dialogue. I mean, that makes a great film for me. But as always, guys, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Hotel Artemis. I would love to know what you guys thought of the film as well. Do you love it to death? This is one of your favorite films of the year so far? Or do you find it really boring, dull, there just wasn't enough action set pieces, so I really didn't care? And let me know, what is your favorite film that takes place in a hotel? Comment below, let me know. Hopefully I'll have my anime review out tomorrow. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to get it done, but I'm going to do my damnedest to get it done so I can give it to you guys. And then I can get back to my schedule, releasing an anime review on Tuesday, releasing movie reviews on the weekends, and maybe a special video in the middle of the week. But as always, guys, if you'd like to see more videos of the channel, be a part of the Black Critic Crew, please hit that subscribe button below. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. And I'm 21 II, the samurai, known as the Black Critic Guy. Don't mess with me. Till then, peace, YouTube!